Okay. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the Network for Developing Conscious Communities and our mission and vision statement. The Network for Developing Conscious Communities, NDCC, was established in 2014. It was established to renew and inspire collective consciousness and community development through intentional engagement that builds sustainable power in Black communities. Our vision is to fully engage Black-led community development organizations in the conscious rebuilding and restoration of Black undersourced and disinvested communities through creating transformational paradigm shifts in community development. So the guiding principles for the Network for Developing Conscious Communities it seeks to foster the conscious development of Indigenous community development, where spiritual principles are strongly rooted in development projects and leadership. At the very core of our work is the practice of sharing the knowledge of spiritual principles to create positive attitudes, to eliminate negative beliefs, and to develop collective community minds. Some of the projects that the Network for Developing Conscious Communities is working on is our community development programs, including our webinar series. The webinar series that we're having right now. It focuses on Black community development. We have the Ella Baker's Women's Business Center, which focuses on Black women entrepreneurs and helping them grow. We have the Black Co-opnomics Academy right now. We have the fall and spring sessions. The fall session actually is in session right now, and it's a 12-week program cooperative development. We have Black small business workshops to help grow businesses of affordable housing development programs that we're working on currently. So some rules for the webinar that we'll be going over. The webinar is being recorded. Please make sure your microphone is muted unless you're speaking. If you are invited to speak, please make sure to unmute yourself, then mute once again so you're finished. We have the chat function for relevant questions and comments. If you are speaking or asking a question, please try to keep it brief and try to respect everyone's time. Make sure that the presenters, we want to allow the presenters to manage the time and to follow the agenda. We do have a designated 30 minutes, 7:30 to 8 o'clock specifically for Q&A session. Please make sure not to record any part of the webinar without permission from the host. Some parts are proprietary and confidential. And then also please make sure to follow NDCC on our social media platforms to stay updated on our upcoming programs. And I'll make sure to include the links in the chat as well. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers for tonight. All right. So our first speaker is Rashia Jones. She's a food activist, financial expert, author, and self-taught chef. Ms. Jones has an extensive background in both food and finance. She was the first African-American executive director of the Greater Houston, Texas Restaurant Association. She has teamed up with the actress and comedian Tiffany Haddish to develop her concept for diaspora groceries in South Los Angeles, California. Diaspora's mission is to empower the South Los Angeles community by utilizing food as medicine and providing access to local, sustainable, healthy food, BIPOC products, and financial resources. Our next speaker is Manaya. Manaya Cleveland is a dedicated business coach with a passion for empowering small business owners within the African diaspora. Since the beginning of her journey in 2014, Manaya has focused on helping food entrepreneurs understand the intricacies of developing cooperative food businesses that enable growth and sustainability. She's a member of the Diaspora Groceries and Diaspora Groceries Care Foundation team. So I just want to thank both of you for joining us, taking time out today for our Introduction to Food Cooperatives webinar. And I'm going to hand over the conversation to our two wonderful speakers for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Amal. We appreciate you and the Network for Developing Conscious Communities as well. We're thankful for being here. All right, Manaya, let's take it away.
Yes, thank you. And before we share the screen, I just want to say thank you everyone for joining. We see so many people from so many different areas, so many different states and cities. That's so exciting to see. Thank you for joining us and sharing your evening with us. And I hope that you guys enjoy. So I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. All right. So, first, we just want to say again, thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is Manaya, again from Diaspora Cares Foundation. So we are hailing from Los Angeles, California. That is where the grocery store actually is going to be set to be at. But while we're in preparation, if you have a co-op, if you're interested in having a co-op, you know that the logistics and getting things set in place definitely does take some time. So while we're waiting for that to actually take place, for the store, everything to go through, we wanted to make sure that we're still doing what our initiative is about. And so that's where Diaspora Cares Foundation comes in, which is the nonprofit arm to ensure that we're still able to do a lot of services within the community, a lot of technical assistance, and so that we're still able to reach one, teach one, while we're getting the logistics of the grocery store actually started. So I'm just gonna keep on going. Here's today's agenda. We're just gonna go over the about us, meet a little bit of the leadership team so you have a clear understanding of who we are, get into understanding what a food cooperative is. Because like Rashia always says, and you'll get to hear a lot of her knowledge, there are so many different cooperatives. You can have an insurance cooperative, you can have any different type of cooperative, but right now we're going to focus on the food cooperative. We're going to look at some of the economic advantages for members in the community, talk about some of the social and environment impacts, look at some of the case studies and some of the successful food cooperatives around the United States, because there are so many successful food cooperatives, and we want to give highlight to them and kind of utilize a lot of the structuring that they have so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can honestly look at what they're doing, and a lot of them are so friendly that you can kind of reach out as well. Challenges and strategies for starting a food cooperative. And that's where we really want to close out and end so that we can dive into that Q&A, so that we can talk about some of the challenges that you may have been facing, some of the strategies that you can put into place so that you can overcome it, and then just kind of see where everybody's at and dive in and see where we can help each other.
Awesome.
All right. So as we go into the About Us, so Diaspora Groceries, co-founded by Tiffany Haddish and our lovely Rashia Jones, is more than just a grocery store. It's a movement dedicated to uplifting and empowering communities across the diaspora. Through Diaspora Groceries Cares, our nonprofit arm, we are committed to addressing food insecurity, promoting food equity, and supporting BIPOC farmers and suppliers. Our mission is to create sustainable, community-driven solutions that prioritize culturally relevant nutrition and holistic wellness. Together, we are leading initiatives to mitigate food insecurity, economic empowerment to build a brighter, healthier future for underserved communities. Here's a little showing just a little bit of our org chart. And the reason why I wanted to put this up here is so that it's clear kind of who is running what. And that's very important when you're structuring your business. And it's very important when you're structuring a food co-op to really understand where everyone plays their role so that there's no confusion. A lot of times, some of the things that cause failures when you're starting a food co-op is that there's a lot of hands in the pot and there's no clear, concise understanding of who's running what and who plays what role. Having an org chart makes it very clear everyone's role, what they're doing, and it makes it clear for the community who's buying in. So here's just a little bit of an overview of our org chart. And you see me down there at the bottom?
Yeah, if you want me to kind of go like, so this concept came from Tiffany Haddish. She lives in South Central LA. She's a comedian and an actress, and I've known her for over 25 years, and what she has told me and what she's told a lot of people, that once she was actually able to control what she was eating, it helped her get mental clarity and it helped her focus on her craft. And once she focused on her craft, which is acting and comedy, she also read a couple of books about finance. And that's what she wants to do for her community, is really just enhance that. So over the pandemic, which I know we probably don't want to revisit that life, but over the pandemic, she came up with the concept. And if you see down at the bottom, David Sheldon, he's one of our architects at Perkins and Will. And so she basically got a think tank and she brought some people in who had grocery stores. She brought some grocery experts. I mean, she just had like a full on team to kind of come up with this concept. And basically, she really wanted to connect food and finance because that's where she noticed her life change, and she wanted to help members of her community do the same. We have Crystal Foot, who's an amazing in digital marketing space. She does all of our media, Instagram, anything that's on our social media sites. She gets everything out for us, and she's absolutely amazing. Marva Smith, she has Marva Smith Consulting. She does a lot of the operations. We have Billy Chung. He has an impressive resume and has worked through the city. He's helped us with our business uh, design and layout for our for getting our market studies, which you'll hear next week, for also doing our business plan. And then you'll see Chris Pearson. He's with Hudson Pacific, and he has helped us with the RFP for the city of Los Angeles, where we've won the RFP, but right now we are in the entitlement. We are negotiating entitlements as we speak. So we did win our RFP for our land. Part of our business model is to own our land and to own the store. I know we're creating owners through membership, but we just kind of wanted to give you a feel. And of course, you have the ever so lovely Manaya, who's also starting to create our team, and she works with our volunteers. She is who will answer a lot of your different emails from different of the info sites. And so she's doing absolutely amazing. We're having an upcoming event in November 9th. We'll probably put some links for that later as we get through the end of the day. And so I just kind of really wanted you to kind of get a feel of who all we're working with. And who is not on this org chart is Bridge Street Inc., and that's who is doing our production for our event. And hopefully they'll be able to do some more productions for us as well. Thank you. Next slide.
All right. So understanding a food co-op. So like I said, there are multiple different food co-ops. And so we want to focus on understanding what there's multiple different co-ops. We want to understand what a food co-op is. A food co-op, short for a food cooperative, is a grocery store market that is owned and operated by its members, who are typically also its customers. Unlike traditional grocery stores, which are owned by corporations or individuals, a food co-op is a democratically run organization where members have a say in decisions, such as what products are stocked and how the store is managed. So one thing that Rashid and I were actually talking about earlier today, because we do hop on the phone, we try to get on the phone at least once a week. At this point, we talk pretty much every day, which is very important when you're looking to do something that's going to be successful, that you keep that communication, the lines of communications with the parties, all parties involved, open, so that people aren't working in so much silos, but we're working together for one common goal. But one thing that we were saying, that Rashid was saying, is that a benefit of the food co-op is that you really have the voice to say what's going to go into this food co-op. So like if we don't want to do the red dyes, if we don't want to do certain preservatives, if we don't want to have certain things like that in our food co-op, we can have that say. We can make those decisions. We can ensure that what we're putting in the community, we can stand by. We can say that, you know what, we will give this to our families. We will give this to our children. We will serve this to our communities, and we would do it with integrity because we had a say in it. A lot of times with these grocery stores, they allow things that when you really get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's like, why would you allow us to serve this to our children? And we're looking at it like, we trust you to do what's in our best interest. And a lot of these grocery stores may not have our best interest at heart. It may come down to the bottom, the dollar. And with the food co-ops, it's important to know that having that community buy-in, having the community understand that this is a benefit, not just so much so that we're getting food, but just so that we're getting the right food, that we're getting the right nutrition, and that you have transparency and a say on what's going on, is very, very, very important. Rashid, is there anything you want to add?
I'll just piggyback off what you said. Just to sum it all up. A food co-op is, like she said, a grocery store owned by folks in the community. Us, we're taking ownership. We're creating owners. Unlike corporate chains, like she mentioned, food co-ops are totally independent and owned by the community members who shop there. So instead of, like she said, focusing on investors or other or other red lines, you can focus on the community, nourishing everyone. Also, another great thing that co-ops do is they are a place for local food, because they know the local farmers, they know the family business owners by name, they know where the food comes from. One thing that we would also like to do in our store is actually connect people back to land and have people growing in our store. So that's why we always give out seeds until our store is open. We always like to also promote fruits and vegetables with seeds. In other countries, some of the fruit and vegetables we eat here, even though they may be, you know, classified as organic and things of that nature, if it doesn't have a seed, sometimes the nutrition is not always there. So we really want to connect people back to the land as well. And everyone is welcome to shop. They're welcome to eat. They're welcome to hang out in the co-op. Everyone joins a co-op. It's a cooperative effort, hence the name. And so we really just wanted to make sure that people understood the difference between a grocery store and or a regular grocery store. So
Grocery
thank
store.
you. Perfect.
All right. So economic advantages for our members. So we have different economic advantages. One could be job creation and local employment. Food co-ops tend to prioritize hiring from local community, providing jobs that pay fair wages and offer benefits. This supports the local economy by keeping income within the community. And if you know me, I'm all about keeping that dollar circulating in the community. It's very, very, very big for me to make sure that the money that we're making actually stays in our community, because there's no way for us to truly change the community unless we buy back the blocks, unless we really start buying into the communities that we reside in. Otherwise, that's how you get hit with the gentrification, because no one that actually lives there and that cares about it is actually buying into it and is actually circling in that money in the community. So it opens up for everybody else to see what the hidden gem is and to buy in at really, really cheap. So if you know me, I'm all about keeping that money circulating in the community, which is one of the reasons why I thought that the Diaspora Groceries Project was so important for me. Because looking at what they're looking to do and what we are doing and how we're focused on making sure that the community has a safe space when it comes to food. There's so much food insecurity. It's so many different things that plague our communities. And sometimes when it comes to food, it may not be a safe space. But with Diaspora Groceries, and what we intend to do is make sure that it's a safe space for all people, not even if it's just groceries, but if you want to have a business, if you want to just get an opportunity to get on your laptop, to grab a smoothie or things of that nature, it's a space for us to come together as a community. Another economic advantage is support for local farmers and suppliers. Co-ops often source their products from local farmers and suppliers, supporting small businesses and promoting local agriculture. This helps to keep money circulating within the local economy and provide a stable market for local producers. So Rashid is really big on linking up with like local farmers and anyone that's just growing for themselves. Even if you're doing it out of your backyard, it's really interesting to see exactly how the food goes from farm to table, how you're able to grow something with just a seed and be able to produce something that feeds your entire family. So it's great for co-ops are great for being able to make sure that those local farmers that generally may not be able to get into those large commercial stores are still able to give their goods and receive a profit, but also be able to, again, feed the community. Having a face to the name of the person. I would love to see the person who I'm buying my cabbage from, because cabbage isn't always the cleanest one. So I would love to see the person and be able to be like, hey, I know that person. I know where I'm getting my carrots from. I know where I'm getting my greens from. I know exactly who that person is. And I know that I'm helping their family at the end of the day. Additionally, it reduces costs through collective buying power. Co-ops leverage collective buying power to negotiate better prices from suppliers. This reduces costs for members and can make healthier, sustainable products more affordable.
Exactly. And I kind of want to just piggyback on that as well and explain why co-ops matter. I mean, the essence of co-op is cooperation. And what does that mean? It means to work together towards something, the same goal, and joining forces to accomplish different tasks that can't be achieved alone. So, simply put, co-ops provide the framework that allows people to get what they want in a way that better meets their economic, social, and cultural needs. We believe that food security is just not giving people bags of food that they don't know how to cook with, or giving them, just only vegan options or only meat options. Basically, food is more. A lot of my memories in life are surrounded by what I eat, or I might not remember a name, but I remember what I had for lunch. And so getting people to connect to their food is very important. And cooperation builds strong bonds between the people who supply the products and the people who use them, like Manaya mentioned. By this, co ops offer a way to transform the way business is done, providing means to get the products and services to the customers and strengthen the community at the same time. Many co ops set a standard for surrounding business communities through environmental and social responsibility. So if you are getting your products more locally, you're saving the earth, you're saving
Mhm.
money, and you're saving your health. So there's a lot when we talk about food as medicine, and how, Manai and I think we're talking the other day, and there's a lot of mental health issues. And if you look at what you're eating in the day. If you go, I'm on the East Coast this week, so I'm in New Jersey. I don't know if you know about Dunkin' Donuts. I know a lot of people love Starbucks, but if you have 2, 3 cups of coffee and then have a Coke, and you're basically drinking stimulants all day, and so that can aid or not aid in what in anxiety. And so we're trying to just kind of make people, or not even make, but just try to bring people that understanding of like what you're putting in your body. I know when I was younger, we always used to say you are what you eat. And so it does hold true. And the greatest part, like Manaya mentioned, is the economic advantages for members, because when you join a co-op, you are able to reap the benefits, and actually, like she said, know where your food is coming from, which is very important.
Yes. And so if you are on Instagram, if you follow the Diaspora Groceries Instagram page, we're constantly dropping great tips on ways to eat healthier, but not super affordable. We're always constantly dropping tips on Wealth Wednesdays. If you hear the voice, that's Rashia. Wealth Wednesdays, always different tips on just how to save, how to budget, how to store stuff in different inexpensive ways, where to cut back. So if you follow our Instagram, we have a multitude of different things that we talk about that kind of lends to these points to kind of even help you kind of start your cooperative or figure out where you want to land at. For everybody, it's different. For everybody, everyone has a different why. And at the end of this, we want to get to, what is your why? Do you have a food co-op? Why did you want to start a food co-op? If you're having some challenges, what are those challenges? Let's talk about it. So again, we're going to get to that, but I want you guys to kind of be thinking about that. And I really want you to follow the Instagram too.
That's awesome. And then just a couple more topics I just wanted to briefly touch on the economic advantages for members in the community. The first one, like she mentioned, is shared ownership. Members have a stake in the cooperative. You buy an ownership, and that is part of your stake. Then there's something called profit redistribution, where a surplus is reinvested into the cooperation or returned to the members. So you actually get paid to shop, to eat. You're getting a percentage of what the profits are based on what you've purchased. There's also, like we mentioned, job creation, employment opportunities created by the community. If you notice, a lot of grocery stores, especially in communities of color, they have lots of security, and the certain foods are, it's like packaged up where you can't even get it. Some of this is because they don't know their consumers or customers. If you have people who are in the community, aunties, uncles in the community, you can probably save on a lot of that, because people know each other in the community, and it's more of an honor system. We don't have to be policed in our grocery stores. And then lastly, local and economic support. Money spent stays in the community, supporting each local businesses. And like we mentioned, again, just circulating that dollar. We want to make sure that that is definitely prevalent, and that's part of our mission.
Yes. So social and environmental impacts, community building. Co-ops foster stronger ties and shared values within communities. Food access and equity. Co-ops focus on providing affordable, healthy food options, especially for marginalized communities. Sustainable practices. Emphasis on local, organic, and ethically sourced products reduces environmental impact. Empowerment and education. Co-ops offer educational programs on nutrition, sustainability, and cooperative economics. So when we talk about community building and we talk about how the co-ops help build the community, something that I was saying to Rashia is like, I don't know if you guys had this back in the day, but when I was growing up at school, if you were on if you were like on a PTA or things like that, we would have days where all of the parents would kind of bring all of their canned goods to school, and we would just swap whichever ones we didn't like. Like everyone would come with a whole bunch of different canned goods, and we would kind of just swap them out. And so it was a PTA thing because a lot of people had a lot of canned goods that they had at the bottom of their pantries or their cabinets that they don't eat because their kids don't like it. But then when you go to a different house, their kids may love that corn and that sweet corn, but I know me, I'm not eating that sweet corn, nor am I eating those carrots. So we used to do kind of swaps. And what happened was when we started doing those swaps, we I think a local news station, they reached out to us about the swaps that we were doing. And then they kind of told us about how other schools were giving all of their canned goods to different charities. And our school was never doing that. We were doing like canned good swaps amongst each other. So everyone started having contests on how we would give all of our cans to different charities. And we would literally do it as a contest. And whatever grade won, they would get like a pizza party or whatever the case is. But that was a way for us to all work together to literally be a part of a bigger cause. And not to say that it's a food co-op, but it was a way for us to bring our school together. Because even though it was a contest, we were all kind of working together to really go for a bigger cause. So when we look at co-ops and we look at community grocery stores and we think about that in real time, how that on a small scale, but think about it in a community, if a community is experiencing a food and there's no local access to healthy and nutritious food, but we all begin to pour our resources together to ensure that our community does not go without, it begins to foster a greater hope within the community. Naturally, violence, the recidivism rate, different things, educational systems, different things generally begin to increase and become a positive impact because everyone's working towards a common goal, something that they can feel is tangible for them. It's resourceful for them. It may not be great for everybody else that may have 4 or 5 grocery stores, but it's big for this community, and it truly does foster hope and stronger ties. Did you want to touch on that,
Yeah,
Rashia?
definitely. Want to touch on the community building piece, and I love the story. Just about food swaps, and that's what we kind of
Yes.
want to do with seeds as well, swapping seeds and just really getting people just connected with the food that they're eating. Co-ops foster stronger ties and shared values within the community. Because there is that special bond. You are knowing where your food is coming from, like we've mentioned. Just to touch on each topic, food access, and equity. Co-ops focus on providing affordable, healthy food options, especially for marginalized communities where they're not really available. In South Los Angeles, since I've been there the last almost 4 years, about 3 different grocery stores have closed. And so what we've noticed is some of the grocery stores in our areas, not only are the food prices higher, but they're not as fresh. And so food spoils quicker. And so we want to definitely stop that. The other thing that a co-op does is offer sustainable practices. It emphasizes on local, organic, and ethically sourced products that reduces environmental impact. Empowerment and education. This is the number one thing that diaspora wants to really just make sure that we bring the education piece in. And co-ops offer educational programs in nutrition, sustainability, and cooperative economics. Like Mo mentioned, our Wealth Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, we give tips on how to budget, how to do parties, how to think of different ways where your budget, you can do something great and not really break the wallet. And part of that is cooking it at home and or getting grandmom's recipes. We definitely want to bring back, I don't know if I'm dating myself as well, but we had home economics in school. And I know this is something that's near and dear to Tiffany's heart as well. Teaching people how to do recipes. I've worked at many different nonprofits and we've given out turkeys for Thanksgiving. And it's kind of unfortunate that some people don't know how to cook a turkey, how to make sure that you have to thaw it out for 2 days, make sure you take out the inside, seasoning and injecting. And so sometimes some food goes to waste in some of these giveaways because people don't know how to cook them, or they may not know how to make them taste good. Different foods are actually amazing, but depending upon how you cook them, it can have a different taste. And people typically want to eat good food. And so these are just some of the social and environmental impacts. So definitely eat fresh, eat local, and co-ops in general really just promote that community base. Like it takes a community, and so that's what we're here for.
It takes a village. And Rashir, are you able to see the comments? Since I'm sharing, I'm not able to see any of the comments in the chat. I just
Let
wanted
me
to see
double
if we're
check.
missing.
I can see them. Most of them, like I said, we have people from Pittsburgh, Virginia, Allentown. Definitely. Thank you, Robin. She absolutely agrees about the home economics. Um, uh, yes, and Robin Albany mentioned beyond the usual challenges to raising capital amongst the low income members, the co-op structure and lack of individual responsible parties for taking responsibility when executing finance and real estate contracts can be a barrier to overcome. That's absolutely. We haven't even talking about financial barriers, which is that was from Kimberly. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Yes, definitely, and I'll make sure I'm monitoring some of these so that we can bring it up.
Bring it
Um,
up.
yes. And like I said, we have people from all over, and we're just very thankful to have you all here. And oh, North Carolina, Ohio, Atlanta, New Orleans. We got a lot of people in the house, so definitely. And some of you, if you have any stories or if you've been to any of these co-ops, we'd love to hear your experience. And or if you belong to a co-op, tag your co-op in the chat, and we will definitely talk about those as well.
All right. So this is one spot that we are excited to hop into because again, it's great to piggyback off of what Rashid just said. If you have a co-op, please drop it in the chat. And let us know where it's at because we would love to try to support in whatever way that we can. But here are some case studies of some successful food co-ops. And we do want to mention that Sola Food Co-op, they are not open as of yet. However, we wanted to highlight them so that we can talk about, again, some of the challenges that we face while opening up food co-ops. So we're going to hop in and I'll let Rashia take lead because I'll talk about Sola.
Sure, absolutely. So we wanted to touch on some different food co-ops at different stages. And so there's the Fredericksburg Co-op and the Mariposa Food Co-op, and also Sola Co-op. Sola, like as Lanaya mentioned, that's actually in South Los Angeles. I've met them at the Up and Coming conference, and I definitely want to put the Up and Coming conference was just last week. They also have a portion of the conference where some of the BIPOC, Black Indigenous people of color people get together. And so if you're interested in thinking of a co-op, FCI is a great place to go. We'll definitely, before the end of the meeting, put their link and website in the chat. As far as case studies, we just really wanted to highlight some examples of the thriving food co-ops that focus on one of diaspora's issues, or one of diaspora's one of the things that we like to focus on is Black and BIPOC led co-ops that align with how we want to operate as well. These co-ops have positively impacted their communities and economically, not just economically, but also socially. Definitely a place to go. It's a place to gather. When as far as Fredericksburg Food Co-op, it's a full service community owned grocery store located in Virginia. If anybody has ever had, I think we do have a person here for Virginia. I'm not sure if you ever had a chance to go there, but they've been around for quite some time. They started a few years ago or years ago, and they've been thriving. What makes this co-op very special? It's in Virginia, and it's really member led, and so that also brings just a great, it's just a great place to see.
Mhm.
As far as West Philadelphia, the Mariposa Food Co-op, West Philadelphia, born and raised. I'm from Philly, so this is one of the first co-ops in the West Philadelphia area. They provide community access, wholesome foods that cater to a wide variety of diets and have been in the neighborhood since 1971. This co-op is probably one of one of the more older co-ops on the East Coast. They've grown a lot since. They forward to contributing to grow and to serve the community in which they serve. And so Mariposa, I've actually been there before, is absolutely amazing. Fresh fruit, local produce, organic produce, very good pricing. Whether you're a member or not, you definitely can shop at a co-op. And so that's kind of what we wanted to kind of highlight. Do you want to kind of go over Sola?
So I'll go, I'm gonna head to Gym City and then,
Okay, perfect.
yeah, yeah. And then I'll go back to Sola. All right. And then a full service grocer, the Gem City Market offers affordable quality kitchen staples, including fresh produce and deli, as well as specialty local organic products. The store's worker owners ensure exceptional service. Third Perk Coffee House operates a cafe on site, and a lot of the partners, led by Expressions of Life, coordinate community health and wellness programs in the community room, teaching kitchen, and a small health clinic. I know Rashia loves Gem City Market. So she spoke about it a little bit in the beginning. Like I said, I don't know if you guys you may not have heard that. And if you didn't hear, I'm definitely going to let her talk about Gem City Market. I was going to continue to read a little bit more about them. We are honored to spotlight Gem City Market in Dayton, Ohio, as a shining example of what a community-driven cooperative can achieve. Their success in fostering a vibrant, inclusive marketplace stands as a testament to the power of collaboration and community empowerment. We deeply respect and admire their commitment to not only serving their own community, but also opening their doors to guide and inspire other prospective co-ops. Gem City's market's model of shared learning and support is paving the way for future cooperatives, and we are proud to celebrate their impactful journey. So we really wanted to highlight and give them their own slide because they truly helped us in our grounding stages. And I'm going to let Rashia talk more about it. But we wanted to just show all of the great ways that you can really bring the community in through food. Because Gem City's market is more like it's almost like a recreational center, like a community center, but just surrounded by the fact that we all need food. At the end of the day, we all need to eat. And we all need to do it in a way that is sustainable and functional for us. And so being able to have that teaching kitchen, like Rashia said, it just lends to the fact that you may give a turkey but not know how to cook it, but they want to alleviate those problems by ensuring that the food that you're purchasing from their store, you are able to cook it and be able to give a variety of ways that you can cook it.
Yes, I'm definitely a big fan of Gym City. I had been reaching out to them about 3, 4 years ago, and I kind of think I got lost in cyberspace, and it was so funny because I was talking to Tiffany, and she was like, "Oh, I have their number right here," and she had the executive director's number right in her phone. And so as soon as I spoke to them, they were very, very lovely group of people. They shared their business plan. They explained some of how their setup is and how they own their store. They also explained, how they also have a nonprofit and how they do education. And again, they told me about the up and coming conference and FCI, the Food Cooperative Initiative. And so they just gave me just so much wealth of knowledge and just really just welcomed us. They also introduced us who did our market study, which is a Colluminate. So if anybody wants to use them, and like I said, or attend next year's up and coming conference, if you're really interested in opening a grocery store, up and coming really gives you almost everything that you kind of need. I've also noticed in the chat, we've seen Semper Rural Black Farmers Co-op in Detroit. Simba, if I'm saying that right, developing food system value change to feed Black food insecure neighborhoods. Oh, come on, that's awesome in Detroit. And someone else would love the gratitude for those who've assisted your journey. Absolutely. I have so much gratitude for anybody that even sometimes just says hi or thank you or give me a good thought. That's why I really love Network for Developing Conscious Communities. They've always been amazing. Amal, just reaches out to me, even if I don't always return an email promptly. But I just love anybody who can kind of just help towards the goal. And I just think that having an attitude of gratitude is how we've gotten this far and how we're going to get and how we're going to win. We have to be able to thank people. And it's about cooperation. That's what a co-op is. And so definitely someone also mentioned Detroit's People's Food Co-op in spring as well. Oh, come on, Detroit really has a lot going on, a lot of
Your
co-ops in
co-ops,
Detroit.
yeah. I'm really
Yeah,
excited to
absolutely.
get to the part where we talk to you guys and dive into some of the things that your whys on why you started the food co-op and how that's going and what the community buy-in input looks like. I'm really excited.
Yes, someone put a great question. Does any of these examples own the land they're on? So, Gym
Mm.
City, that's why I kind of want to copy them because they do own their land, and not many do. Some people do have 99-year leases. Sometimes it is hard, depending upon your city, to own your land. We're really trying in Los Angeles to own ours. I think that makes a big difference, especially when you're investing in the build out. But like I said, some of them have longer year leases or lease their building. They still do good work, but just in our particular model, we would like to own ours. That was a great question, Wendy. Thank you for that question. So, like I said, we're just really honored to spotlight Gym City and just thankful for just in general, just being able to. Sometimes you don't know where to go when you're on this journey and where to start. And like I said, and I'll try to put that in the chat as well. But the FCI was a great place for us to start. They even have like a Bible version of how to start your grocery co-op from step one to opening the doors. They even have marketing that they give packages to show you how to market. Um, they have almost everything on their site. And like I said, they do year-round conferences as well as other trainings if you're really interested in that cooperative model for your business.
Mhm. All right. And so, like we were saying, like those different co-ops are in different stages of actually opening their doors or how they've opened their doors. And so we wanted to bring highlight to some of the challenges that that can be anticipated in starting a food co-op. And number one challenge before we even get to the slideshow is just understanding that you can't please everyone. Everyone is not going to be on the same page. It doesn't matter how great it could be of an opportunity or how wonderful of a sales pitch that you may present. Everyone's not going to be on the same page because, for one, they may think that they could do it better or that they have a better solution, or maybe that, they want to they rather go with a corporate grocery store based off of what they like and what they know and what they trust, or whatever the case is. There's so many different people. One of the main things to remember is that you have to stay motivated to the cause and to the mission. And if you stay motivated to the cause and to the mission, then everything will eventually fall in line. But let's get into it. So, some of the challenges and strategies for starting a food cooperative: limited access to capital. Co-ops usually rely on member contribution, loans, or grants, which can limit their financial resources compared to traditional businesses. This makes it difficult to fund growth and improvements or navigate economic downturns. Governance and decision-making. Co-ops are member-owned and governed, which can lead to slower decision-making processes. Reaching consensus among a large, diverse group of members can be challenging and may cause delays in implementing changes. Diaspora Grocery can support co-ops by offering access to capital, capacity building training, marketing assistance, and creating a network of co-ops to foster collaboration and resource sharing. Additionally, it can advocate for co-op friendly policies, facilitate connections and ethical suppliers, and provide technology and incubation support to help co-ops overcome operational and scaling challenges while enhancing community engagement. A lot of that is in the technical assistance portions that we offer through Diaspora Groceries Cares. So one of the things that we focus on is to really trying to show you all of the different resources where you can find money. One of those big resources is the USDA. And so a lot of times we do face a lot of challenges receiving USDA money, and it has a lot to do with making sure that all of your decks are in a row. Tay G raised hand. That's my first time seeing it, so I wanted to acknowledge it. Can you see it on your end?
I don't see it on my side, but did you want to speak, Tay? Or we got to that point yet? Or I don't see the raised hands. I do see the comments. I
Okay.
also wanted to bring up Corita. Also, and thank you so much, Corita, because I wasn't able to attend. She put a great link from the up and coming conference. So there's some great information. Like I said, FCI gives out so much information. So please share the link. Sorry, TG said no. She not sure what happened. So
Okay.
no worries. I didn't
All right.
at
No
that
worries.
portion. No
Okay.
worries, TG, for
Um,
sure.
But yes, so additionally, so one of the things, like I was saying, I'm sorry, was that the technical assistance portion. So we offer a lot of different means of technical assistance, and we really, really, really do try to take on opportunities to offer different grants, small micro grants to up and coming businesses to kind of help mitigate some of those startup costs. So we really look to collaborate, share different resources. Anyway, we don't gatekeep. We don't gatekeep any information. So if we know something that would be worthwhile for you, we will gladly give you that information. Because honestly, the more type of opportunities and co-ops and grocery stores within our communities that look like us, the better. There is never too many, because the more that we buy our communities and show a vested interest in our communities, the more the other kids, the children, the next generations will keep that same mindset, and they will begin to value themselves more because they value the community that actually raised them. We all look alike. We're all looking to get to the same goal, which is to have a better sense of living.
Absolutely. And just to kind of sum up that, I know a lot of challenges are around capital, money, let's face it.
Mhm.
It does take money to start a co-op. Membership does help. However, and there's sometimes it takes years, sometimes it's not as quick, as we would like it to be. But definitely there are grants that you can apply for. There are different programs through nutritional programs, federal funded through SNAP, through WIC. There's also food as medicine programs through people's health insurance. And so just definitely trying to think outside of the box. Mo did mention governance and community engagement. They can be both positives and negatives. Whenever anything is led by the members, you do lose a little bit of that control. And there's also, like what we mentioned, overcoming the obstacles, being strategic, looking for resources, looking at other co-ops, understanding, kind of what you're going through. Grocery stores on average don't make a lot of money, so there's very small margins. However, some things are not just for profit. It's also just as a social enterprise. Um, Diaspora Groceries supports and advises emerging co-ops, and we want to help people on different levels of their journey. And definitely, like Anaya mentioned earlier, not recreating the wheel. If there's one organization that does something very well, we want to definitely refer people to them and or access to capital. There's a lot of co-ops that own their grocery store, own the land, and own it outright, just by how they structure the deal, and or if they had state involvement, federal involvement, other grants and or fundraising. There's certain communities for people who want something in their community that they've been able to be funded directly by all its members. So there's definitely different ways to skin a cat, as people say, and just taking those takeaways, focusing on economic, social, and environmental benefits for food co-ops definitely outweighs some of the challenges. It's definitely not easy, but it's definitely worth it.
I think it's always good when I deal with clients and they come in and they're starting to have their thoughts of wanting to start a business. Any businesses, I always tell them to have a dump session to really dump out everything that they're thinking of and categorize it into pros and cons. Because every idea could be a great idea, but once you get down to the pros and cons, it really determines, okay, is it an idea that I want to continue to pursue, or is it an idea that I may need to pivot and look at it from a different direction or a different perspective? Don't get caught up in what you think, because there's so many different avenues. Like she said, there's so many different ways that you can skin a cat. So when you get down to, okay, limited access to capital, look at multiple ways to get money. Don't just look at, oh, I need to get a loan or I need to get a grant. Look at maybe an investor, an angel investor, someone that buys into the mission. Talk to some of your local businesses that already are in the area. They may be willing to invest because of what that grocery store could do for their business. A grocery store brings a community of people regardless, because people need groceries, which can in turn enhance the area and where these people, the other businesses are. So when you look at that in that mind, you start realizing, okay, you can get capital. It may not be the traditional way, but there are different ways that you can get capital. You can go to different community members, different meetings, and start raising money. The very, 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 very easy way, which is kind of like, hey, we're opening up a grocery store. We would like for you to donate. We want you to buy into our mission. This is how you can become a member, and kind of really go hard with your mission. So don't get discouraged. You know what I mean? I know that's discouraging for everyone, the limited ways to get capital. Focus on getting your personal credit together and getting your business credit together simultaneously. Once you got that in the mindset, don't even focus so much on using it. Just make sure that it's there, so that if you do need to lend to it to be a co-signer or a personal guarantor for your business or your opportunity, that is an opportunity. That's an option. So don't get so caught on it. I know it's a challenge, but there are strategies. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask for help. Closed mouths don't get fed. Look at different people that actually lived in your community that became successful. Sometimes they want to be generous and they may want to donate based off of, hey, I lived there. I remember not having a grocery store. I remember having to ride my bike, a couple miles just to get. So you never know. You just never know. So when you're looking to open up a co-op, advocate. Advocate for the mission, advocate for the vision, and advocate for yourself at the end of the day. There's no challenge that doesn't come with a solution. I promise. And when it comes to decision making, like I said, can't please everybody. You just got to get the majority.
Yes. And we have a couple of comments. Carrie Jr. CJ said, own your land if possible. That's something that we want to create. Sometimes, if you could own your land, if even if something goes left, you all ultimately own the land. I think that's kind of the key to racism, is owning your land, owning your home, owning what you can. They wrote, definitely think outside the box to get capital. The financial institutions all think the same. And it's actually you have to make sure that you present your package properly as well. And that's what a market study is for. We're going to be talking a lot of the nuts and bolts of the financials that need to kind of go along with it. That's why you get your market studies. That's why you have your plans in place, you have your banking in place. Naima Kearney, she said she saw the USDA presentation that warned against relying on grants as a co-op. Is there a point or general guidance on how to be at a place where the co-op isn't relying on grants? So the key is you want to have diversity, because if you just have one grant that basically funds your whole program and that grant goes away, guess what else goes away? Your business. And so you want to have diversity. Grants are great, but they can't be their only source, because if something does happen or that grant disappears, then so does your business. So you just really want to think outside the box. I believe CJ mentioned that, like, just kind of, and Manai also mentioned, like, being solution based. There's definitely lots of different programs out there. It's great to have a grants person on your team. However, you also want to be, getting money from membership, getting money for educational things that you may be doing, and or support from your local governments, and or federal. So there's multiple ways to actually build in that compensation so that your business is profitable.
Yeah, and like Rashia said, we'll talk a lot about the financials next week, but just to kind of piggyback, it's great to have a grant writer on your team, but it's also great to have a fundraiser on your team. Someone that knows how to write those grants and get that money, and someone that knows how to fundraise to get that money. Because if you have a mission that people can buy into, all you need to get is for people to buy into it, to put yourself into rooms where people can buy into it. I know examples, me and Rashia, we give examples of different people that we worked with in organizations where we're raising thousands in one day based off of what the mission is, based off of the way that that person that is fundraising for you knows how to drive that mission home, the way that they're able to use certain keywords to make people realize that this vision is not just my vision, it's your vision too. This vision is not a sole focus. This is a vision for everyone. And once everyone can buy into that, regardless if they agree with so much of how we're going to get there, instead of how that we're going to get there, they're going to buy into it. They're going to do what they need to do, or at least the bare minimum to be able to help you get to where you need to go. So yes, the USDA presentation about not focusing on just grants, that's very, very important, because like Rashia says, at any point a grant can go away. And if your business is solely focused on that and that portfolio is not diversified, you do run the risk of having to take out something like a loan. And if you're using a loan to float your business, that becomes dangerous as well, because you have the chance of losing the business and being on the line for an additional amount. So you really want to make sure that you're looking at multiple different out of the box ways to raise money to get capital, and being strategic about it, writing everything down. Like you said, the market study, your business plan, honing on that mission, the vision, who your target audience is. Those things are very, very important when you're looking at the challenges that happen to come up with any business, not just a food cooperative. These are challenges that we face on an everyday with starting any business. So anytime you're looking to do anything, you really want to be strategic about getting that foundation very secure. Because once you have that secure foundation, anything can really stand on that. Owning the land.
Absolutely. We have a comment from Kerry Jr. again, CJ. They wrote, as a former member of the USDA Minority Farmers Advisory Committee, pursue the grants until you learn the system. Many funds for farmers of color. There are many funds for farmers of color, but we're not pursuing or getting them. White intermediaries are receiving them, and that is very true. And the USDA has recognized that and has said that, like, a lot of funds do not go. That's why you have to apply. Again, keep applying. It's a numbers game. The more you apply, the more you'll get. If you don't apply at all, you don't get it at all. So there's definitely some fundraising websites that you can use, that you can buy into. If you do decide to use a fiscal sponsorship for your nonprofit portion, some of those sometimes will have those fundraising opportunities there, as well as grant portals to search to see what you qualify for. Robin Albany wrote, John Boyd, activist for Black farmers, social justice. Yes, I'm a very, very big fan of John Boyd, and his website is www.johnboydjr.com. Yes, there's a lot of people who are advocating and they understand the disparities. And so definitely the key is, though, if we don't know about them, we don't apply for them. And sometimes we don't have some of the things that we're doing a in-person meeting in Los Angeles, November 9th, and we're going to have on-site technical assistance. And what we want to bring in the room is members of the USDA, members of the SBA, members of the local city of Los Angeles, so that if people, sometimes you may be a Black-owned business, but you're not registered as a Black-owned business, or you may want to work for in Los Angeles is the LA Unified School District. You may want to do a contract, but if you're not set up in their system, you can't do that. You can't do work with the city of LA or the LA Unified School District. So it's knowing how to navigate these portals, understanding that if you're getting a federal grant from the USDA, there's certain things that have to be set up, and you have to have all your numbers in place. I mean, we've had to, there's definitely I kind of put it like it's like a puzzle. You got to put all the pieces together, and sometimes they just don't quite fit. But you may not have to jam them in there, but you got to kind of really just have somebody on your team that's fiscally responsible, holding all your numbers and making sure that you can qualify. Definitely. Asia said, please invite us. Yes, we'll put a link. We'll put a link to our LA event. It's November 9th, and it's on our diasporagroceries.org site, our nonprofit site. If you go to diasporagroceries.org, and then our store site is diasporagroceries.com.
And if you guys drop your
Well,
emails, we'll also try to add you so that you'll receive our newsletters, because next month we'll be going and doing our webinars for our technical assistants. So we'll be locking in on what it is that you need to pretty much get a basic grant. So like every grant, they may ask for something different, or a loan may ask for something different, but we have a checklist that's pretty much everything that you really need to get funding, which is everything that you really need to be a vendor or to have a sustainable business. That's down to insurance, that's down to your banking, that's down to your NAICS codes, that's down to just making sure that everything is easily accessible in one space. It makes it so much easier when you have your brand voice, elevator pitch, why you have this food co-op, what it's going to do, who it's serving, target audience, all right there. It makes it so much easier for you, and it makes it easily digestible for anyone else that you bring onto the team after. And that's very important when it comes down to governance and decision making, making sure that things are easily digestible for everyone, so that all decisions are informed and that all decisions involve clarity, because you don't want anyone to make any rush decisions or make a decision saying no because I don't really understand what's going on. That statement is very triggering for a lot of people. Once you get a person that's been like, I don't know what's going on, they halt. And now whatever they were contributing, whatever financial contributions, whatever intelligence they was offering, it halts, and it puts a level of distrust, because if I can't clearly understand what's going on, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. And you want to remove all of those layers, especially when you're doing a food co-op, because you need the community, you need that buy-in, and you need that transparency for it to run smoothly. So these are certain things. If you put your email in the chat, we would love to have you on our webinars, have you at our November 9th event, so that you're able to get some of that technical assistance. If you're looking to open up a food co-op, or if you're looking to do anything in the business realm, that food grocery realm, we would love to have you.
And Robin also put in the chat that the National Black Farmers Association is having an event on September 17th from 6:30 to 7:30. It is virtual. The Mississippi DFAMP and Impact on Business. She also dropped the Zoom link for that as well. Um, Asia wrote about the Cooperation Crenshaw. They're having a meet and greet with Mary Sutton. Oh, awesome, to start the cooperation in Los Angeles this Saturday. If you have more details, Asia, please drop the link. I also put diasporagroceries.com, where you can register to become a BIPOC vendor, or to be a vendor to get in our stores. You'll get the newsletters and updates. Please definitely subscribe. We'll also try to add all of the emails that are in the chat to our newsletter list. Thank you.
I love that we're all not gatekeeping information.
Yes, we are here. Can we open it up for questioning now? Is it about that time yet?
Let me see. We got a couple more slides if you want to just.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, sorry. Yes, sorry.
Just kind of how to start our co-op. So very, very, very kind of basic overview, because again, next week we're going to really get into the good stuff. But stage one, organizing. So organize the whole community meetings, incorporate the organization, kick off ownership drive, hold first annual meeting, elect first board of directors, and conduct your preliminary feasibility study. So that may sound overwhelming. That may sound a little bit intense. It's not. Because if you leave it as a checklist, you slowly but surely start checking things off. The reason why organizing whole community meetings is number one is because 9 times out of 10, if you actually open up your mouth and say what you're doing, everything that you'll need after that may be a person in that community meeting. There may be someone in that meeting. You're like, oh, you know what? I know someone that can do the feasibility study. I have a person to have a contact. I know someone that can be on the board of directors. Listen, count me in. Listen, this is how you do the minutes. We need the minutes to look like this. We need to make sure that it's in line so that it's actually correct. if you have that first meeting and just let people know this is what I'm trying to do and say this is what it is that we need to do and have it set down as goals, it makes it so much easier. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't seem intimidating because you stay within your wheelhouse. You, again, that org chart, you sign everything else out and everyone stays exactly where they're supposed to, and we come together as a unified front. Everyone is clearly informed, it's very cohesive, and there's transparency, which is the number one goal. The feasibility. So complete the initial market study, initiate the site search, complete the financial pro forma, and begin the search for general manager. So those are the spaces that a lot of the things that Rashia is going to be talking about next week. And we actually do have our market study, so that we're going to use a lot of those blurbs and clips so that you guys can get some real understanding as to what that looks like and what you're looking for when you're looking at that market study. Did you want to hop in before I go on to the planning?
Yes, I just kind of wanted to say, well, this particular slide came again from FCI. And if you look, it has the number of members of where you should be for members. And strategically, um, we've not reached out for members only because we did a survey, and there's some people who have been trying to, have a co-op for 10 years. And so sometimes people may think, oh, is co-ops real? Are they not real? And so this particular slide, I really like it because it just kind of walks you through the process of, of when you start. Definitely start organizing. And then, like I said, obtaining members if you want to go with the co-op model. And then, you have to make sure that you can make the dollars work. You can make it work. And then how do you plan for those holes? How do you plan for those deficits? That's important. Planning is key. And then, it's also talking about pre-construction and then also the construction phase. So there's a lot that goes into opening your store. And so I really thought that this slide from FCI it really just kind of just broke it down so that you could understand the complete process.
I'm sorry. I think you're breaking up a little better.
I know I see that in the chat. I wasn't sure. Is it Rashida that's breaking up or Manaya?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
me.
breaking up a little bit.
Let me check.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Amal, you said mine's is breaking up too?
I'm having the only problem. If anyone in the
Okay.
but yeah,
All right. So.
Is my internet getting tired? Um, uh, this is a lovely picture of Tiffany Haddish, our co-founder. And this is the property that we want to buy. A little bit about this used to be a bank. It was one of the first black-owned banks, west of the Mississippi. And so this particular land has been vacant for over 30 years. And the whole acreage, what we want is like a little bit 1.5 acres, but the whole development is about 7 acres that we've partnered with our developer, Hudson Pacific and Equiblue. And so we really want to turn this bank into Diaspora Groceries. Like I said, we've won the RFP, but we're in negotiations with the city, and we won the RFP almost a year and a half ago. So it is taking some time. While we're working with city-owned property, there are things that we joke around and say you got to hurry up and wait. And so we've been in, this negotiation process for a couple of months now. But we're hoping that everything goes through. Manaya, did you want to, talk more about the particular slide?
Yeah. So again, that, like she just said, just the negotiation process, it lends to some of the challenges and some of the time constraints. Things do not happen overnight, and it's not a quick process. You have to truly be dedicated to the mission and the vision of the community in which you're trying to serve. And so again, with the model that we're trying to take, we want to focus on ownership, and ownership for multiple reasons. Again, that's just to say, if anything falls through, we still own the land, but also to show us that we can own the land, that we can do things holistically and not leave any stone unturned. We are capable of doing that, and we have the access and the means to do so. So again, let's do, okay, so again, we're just wrapping this up. A food co-op is a member-owned, member-governed grocery store that puts people in the community first, offering fresh, healthy, and affordable food options while supporting local farmers and sustainable practices. By reinvesting profits back in the community, food co-ops empower individuals, create jobs, and foster a sense of shared ownership and purpose. Diaspora Groceries is thrilled to take this concept further by working directly with BIPOC farmers and suppliers to fight food insecurity, making nutritious food accessible to underserved communities. Together, we're not just shopping for groceries, we're building a movement for food justice and equity. Thank you for being a part of today's session and for your passionate engagement. Let's continue to grow and nourish our communities one block at a time.
Awesome. And just for the comments, Asia put in the comments the LA Cooperative convening. It's at 1704 West Manchester in Los Angeles, California, this Saturday, next Saturday, September 21st. So anybody that's in the LA area, the information is in the chat. Thanks again, Asia, for sharing that. Just as a little bit of a recap, just wanted to make sure you have a better understanding of what a co-op is, what a co-op grocery store is, the importance of community engagement in cooperative growth, marketing and outreach strategies that can help in your journey, developing targeted messages to diverse audiences, making sure you reach your target audience, utilizing digital platforms and social media for outreach. We talked about our team there, leveraging word of mouth and grassroots marketing. I can't say it again, word of mouth marketing in something like a co-op is definitely needed. Um, Crafting compelling value propositions for potential members, best practices for onboarding new members, and also for getting board members to help grow your business, strategies for maintaining long-term member loyalty, because you don't want to just get them and leave. You want to get them and keep them. How are they staying? Are they liking the quality of the produce? Is the food taste good? That's like number one thing. Organizing community events and activities, try to think out the box with having ideas for events that build community cohesion and brand awareness, collaborating with local businesses and organizations. You are not in this by yourself.
Nope.
I think the key to winning is collaboration, hence cooperation, co-op, working together. So don't try to recreate the wheel. Get with every nonprofit that has anything to do with food. Get with local food banks. Connect with businesses, for-profit, nonprofit businesses. Connect with churches who feed the homeless. Definitely, so that you can stop food waste. And just there's lots of different ways if you think out the box. We did talk about a few case studies and examples of different nonprofits. We gave real life experiences and some successful community engagement examples of cooperatives that are working. So if one person can do it, you can do it too. It's definitely, I know there's going to be challenges and it may not always be easy, but it's definitely going to be worth it. And definitely, Tawana wrote, "Hey Asia, love the work that you guys are doing. Would love to hear more about what you guys are doing, Asia." And thank you, Tawana, for your comment. Carrie wrote, "I'm an engineering. He's an economic. I'm sorry, it's moving development consultant and food systems specialist. Let us know if you can help." Oh, definitely. Oh wow, yeah. And so getting, like I said, word of mouth, knowing what you do. We always say this to our community. I also work with Tiffany's other nonprofit, which is called the She Ready Foundation, and we work with foster youth. And I tell people all the time, your network is your net worth. And so really just knowing who's in the room, knowing how you can help support each other, definitely makes all of the difference.
So is there any other questions that you want to touch base on before we go into tell your why?
Yes, I just wanted to, I think there were a few other comments. It's kind of moving a little slow on my end. As the number of members grow, how is the mission or nature of the co-op able to remain unchanged, especially with Black co-ops? have found many grassroots orgs founded by Black people change into spaces that no longer serve Black community members as well, or become over unwelcoming, and so some Black people have left as the funding reached higher levels. This is only beginning, we're history in the making. Okay, so that's a good question, especially as gentrification comes into certain particular neighborhoods, and that's why, you know, I believe that, you know, creating grocery stores or just creating access to good quality food is important, but it just seems that when other people do move in the neighborhood, then so does all the resources. Here comes Trader Joe's, here comes, Whole Foods, who wouldn't have been there if that dynamic. There's definitely uh, a schematic that they use when they come into certain areas called redlining. And so it's a it's something it's a chance that you take, but that's why you want to make sure that your messaging is clear and you keep, you know, sometimes when things are intended for certain things, they don't always make it that way. So that's a really good question, but you kind of got to cross that road. Yes, Manaya, do you have?
If I can lend to it, that is something that all small businesses fear as you expand. That's why it's very, very important to keep open that transparency and to ensure that you're building and your intentions are pure and with like-minded people. So what happens a lot of times is when success happens, here comes the money. And money changes people. It's a natural progression, right? But the difference between co-ops is that it's not owned by an individual or a corporation. It's owned by a group of like-minded
Community.
people. So if there's a group of like-minded people that are money driven, then that's what's going to happen. That's going to be that's going to be the determining factor of what happens to the co-op. But if this is a group of like-minded individuals that the community is the root cause and that you've truly vetted and that everyone's intentions are pure, then when money becomes the topic of conversation, even if you have two or three that are, outsiders, they're outsiders. The majority, the intentions, the mission was what it was. And so yeah, you're gonna always have those negative Nancy's and those people that come in and they try to break up everything that we have going on. We all know about different people, organizations, and their infiltration tactics and measures that they do. But it's really about staying strong to your intentions and your mission. And when you do that, everything, I promise, everything falls into place because someone else can't deviate the mission by themselves. They can do it for themselves, but they can't do it by themselves. They can't take an entire mission and make it go haywire by themselves. So if the transparency is there and you're very, very clear with your community and with the members, then I feel like things will continue to progress. But if you work in silos behind closed doors, and when problems arise, then you come out to the public, well, that's where it becomes a distrust because we didn't even know this was happening to begin with. So I think that a lot of it has to do with just being very, very transparent and making sure that the lines of communication are always open so that you avoid those conflicts before they even happen. A lot of preventative measures.
Yes, and Pamela James, thank you, Pamela. She shared the Black Farmers and Urban Growers Conference will be held in Houston, Texas, November 1st to the 3rd, and that's the blackurbangrowers.org is the website,
November
www.blackurbangrowers.org.
sounds
November
uh,
1st. Yeah, November 1st to the 3rd, so that's awesome. And thank you, Asia, so much. You're 100% correct with that. She's also a facilitator for a course to stop conflict from arising. Definitely having the conversation, leading with intention and transparency, like Manaya mentioned, is definitely key. This is a business, it's going to grow. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to grow or where it's going to go, but when you water it just like a flower or a plant, it's going to grow. So, definitely.
all right. So I think we got 30 minutes left in the mall. Did you want to say anything before we?
Open it up for questioning.
Like I said before, I just it was a really insightful conversation. Thank you to everybody participating in the chat. So if you have any questions, we're gonna open Q&A. If there is a question, and you can add them to the Q&A. It'll be easier with all the additional comments. Stay on track with all the questions. If any questions are opening Q&A part of the session. Right now we have one question by Josephine Gray. She's saying, how do we balance fair compensation for Black farmers while keeping prices affordable for our vulnerable families?
That's a very hard question. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to pay for good quality produce. We want to keep things affordable, but there's different types of crops, and especially when ultimately we need to get them some technical support and get them some USDA grants and get them some other potential funding. However, sometimes certain crops are more expensive than others because of how it's dealt with, the love that it's put into it. Maybe they don't have as many resources. That's a great question. Manaya, do you want to kind of touch on it?
Yeah, I mean, the sad reality is everyone can't win, right? But the thing about the co-ops that make it beautiful is most people that are purchasing with the notion in mind that this is community based. And so even though it may be a little bit more expensive for these lovely families, if they know it's Rob that's giving them this cabbage that costs $2.89 a pound instead of the $2.09 a pound at the grocery store, then I feel like they would be a little bit more inclined, because it's like, I know that I'm not getting the wholesale, the cabbage that may be coming from Guatemala. I may not be getting that cabbage because I'm getting the cabbage that's coming right here from my community. I'm getting the cabbage that's coming right here from the people that look like me. I'm getting the cabbage for the people that their children go to school with my kids, because all the money's in this community. So yeah, it may be a little bit more expensive for those people that can afford it. But I think that's also where that community reach comes into for the people that can't afford it, so that they're not counted out. So it's about looking at, are you offering SNAP benefits? That's something that me and Rashid are really, really, really big on, ensuring that food access is for everyone. So if you're not offering those SNAP benefits, you're really alleviating an entire population of people that really can be in there buying these groceries and that would love to buy these groceries. I think it also goes into making sure that when produce is going bad, or not going bad, but has been out for a certain, you're marking it down to a space where it's definitely affordable for people to come in and purchase it. So it's about really being strategic when you're doing a co-op, but you have the opportunity to be strategic because there's so many different people that are giving real life insight, because the people that own the co-op are also the people that are buying from the co-op. So if it's too expensive for the community, it's a real life being able to know it in real time. You'll be able to know it, because the community that bought into it is going to be the community that says you can't afford it. And then it's looking at, okay, so what do we need to do differently? What do we need to, do these certain farmers need more resources to lower their costs, to lower their overhead, so that they're giving us a better rate? Like Rashia said, it may be giving them a little bit more technical assistance, a little bit more understanding of what USDA products they can be able to obtain to be able to sustain themselves. Maybe looking at, here's a different, avenue of fertilizer. Someone that I'm dealing with, he said, listen, I switched my fertilizer. My pineapple's been growing 10 times the rate, which, I mean, the fertilizer was a little bit much, but at the rate that I'm actually growing these pineapples that generally take 9 months, and I'm getting them at 6 or 7, it's still great quality. And I know there's no preservatives. It may be about changing the wheel and looking at different resources for everyone as a group. But that's the benefit of the food cooperative. So it's about looking at it as a positive, changing the way that you're looking at it to a positive instead of a negative. If it's a little bit more, you know why. I think, Rashid, you're muted.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. And thank you, Asia, and Robin, for your comments about quality and community. It is about the quality. It is about the community. And, you'll see, especially in Los Angeles, they have grocery stores like Erewhon where people are spending $70 for lunch. We don't want to get that far, but people will pay for what they want to pay for. And ultimately, if the food is making you feel better and you're feeling great from eating it, if it's slightly at a premium, I think that's something that you'll invest in or you'll want to invest in. And then at the end of the day, the other stores are not giving you back money. You're not getting portions of proceeds and other things that you would get because you're shopping at a co-op.
I think just being added to there are no SNAP benefits. You want to form and join
Amal, I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're breaking up. I can't hear you that well.
You sound kind of low.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's better.
So Josephine added to her questions. They said we are in SNAP benefits to all forms. Join in a network for Afro Indigenous popular food trade Single Island from Canada.
Can't hear.
Yes, every other word is going in and out. Do you mind putting it in the chat? Because we can't really, it's breaking up on our side.
It's my internet then. But I'll
The internet doesn't like that we're having such an informative conversation.
Yeah.
Be a hater.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, this is what she wrote. I don't know if you can hear. I'll read it back. The person is saying they're in Canada and there are no SNAP benefits. They want help. We want to help form and join in a network for Afro-Indigenous cooperative food trade across Turtle Island from the Caribbean to Canada based on Indigenous sovereignty, so they can bypass the corporate trade system. Oh my gosh, that is a
Ooh, baby,
great idea.
yes. I love it.
Definitely.
I
Um,
love it.
And just Robin wrote at Asia, unfortunately, this is a global problem as the food and beverage energy prevails. Absolutely. This is definitely a food problem. I'm also a member of Kamala Harris's Food Freedom Fighters. And I'm a food freedom fighter because this is a global problem and this is something that we need to have our government talk about. This is something, if you're not in the United States, it's world. This is all over the world. People are not getting nutritious food, and the narrative has been placed on fast foods, and we're just not connecting with food like we used to. That's the whole one of the reasons why diaspora was born, to bring back those traditions, to bring back people talking with their grandmothers and their family members, passing down recipes, swapping seeds. I've never heard of swapping canned goods, but either way, just making food fun,
Mhm.
Yes,
That organization from Canada, they said that they didn't have SNAP benefits.
because
So
they're not in the country, so they don't have that. That SNAP is
yeah,
a
I know, but she
nutrition
was
program.
saying that so they were planning on
She wants to start a cooperative food trade that goes across Turtle Island from the Caribbean to Canada. So she wants to bring fruits and
okay.
vegetables straight from the Caribbean, which I went to the Caribbean this summer, and when I tell you fruits and vegetables taste so amazing there,
I
and
can
they also have
imagine.
indigenous fruits and vegetables like ackee, and there's certain things that are only that grow in other places, and they have different types of avocados and different types of bananas that are indigenous to those areas. I think that is an excellent
That's a
idea,
beautiful idea. Yeah.
and that's part of what we want to do with diaspora, is getting food from our indigenous countries, whereas sometimes food has to go around the world to get to us, and we wonder why it spoils quicker, it doesn't taste as good, and it's not as nutritious, so that's something. Carrie Jr. brought up, what is the Canadian group's name. um, uh, they're also are chatting with a group in Toronto. And Pamela James wrote, she lives in Buffalo. Her house is 5 minutes, oh wow, from Canada, where she is located in Canada. So there's a lot of people that live close to the
Yes,
borders. Even
connect,
here. Yes,
network within the
for
chat.
sure.
Amal, you had another question?
Yeah, I think it's the same. Can you hear me better?
No,
A little bit. It's a little
I
bit.
can't. It's like it sounds low.
Oh, might is it a bit better?
Yes.
Okay. So Josephine was saying, would you all be interested in this network? We need tropical produce for our many African and Southern schools.
You
So
said
whether
after networking.
she said, would you be interested in networking with them because we need tropical produce for many of African and Southern schools.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what this comes about. Sometimes it's just a matter of having a different conversation and or seeing how we can export or import things. And even if our store isn't open, maybe we can try to help to get you in other stores, So we're definitely here for the conversation. Absolutely.
grateful for people working in the chat.
I can't hear it. Were you saying a question?
And have many immigrants with land back from Caribbean Africa. We can farm sustainably north and south instead of exploiting our people. I think
Can
it was
you
just
drop it in the chat?
yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I see the Q&A now. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was a separate Q&A, so I do see them now. Were you reading We're in Canada? No, snap. Okay, no, we read that one. Would you all be interested in this network? We need tropical produce from many African countries. We answered that. Okay, so I think this is the one you're reading. Have many immigrants with the land back home in the Caribbean and Africa. We could farm sustainably north and south instead of migrant labor exploiting our people. We definitely do not want to support. We want to support our people, not exploit our people. So there's definitely some issues when imports and exports, but we definitely are proponents of just bringing people together. And so some of it is just like we're saying, having the conversation, seeing how we can bring certain products to certain places. That's what diaspora is all about. That's the importance of the connection. So that's something that definitely we want to discuss further. Yes, but
And
do you
to
have any?
speak to that point, when I was 18, I was diagnosed with something called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And for a while, I was told that I couldn't have children. And I started to work with Dr. Sabi's grandson. And he told me that a lot of the herbs and things of that nature that our bodies naturally need, we're not getting, nor is it even accessible here in the States. And it's important for us to be able to get the natural herbs, the natural fruit and vegetables that are indigenous to the lands in which we reside or that we came from to ensure that we reach optimal health. And so with diaspora groceries, that's what's important. It's important to be able to connect the diaspora to ensure that we're being able to reach optimal health, being able to get the things that we need to sustain ourselves. Because food truly is medicine. And I'm happy to report 10 years later, I was able to naturally carry and birth my own son. So it's very, very important. And I attribute it so much to the natural herbs, the natural remedies, the natural aid, and the faith that I had, honestly. But it's about food being medicine and being able to heal. And I no longer have the cyst, so I'm free of that. But again, it just lends to just changing the way that we eat and changing. It's a lifestyle change. It's really about changing our mindset to realize, look, all of the food that we're eating here is not for us. It's for $1, and it's literally just to make sure that we're fed. You know how they say fed is best? It's literally just to make sure that we're fed. But if we were to go to another country, a lot of this stuff would be banned. We wouldn't even be able to eat that. They wouldn't even think to say that we could eat these things because it's not good for us. And so we need to really, really bring the diasporas together to ensure that we're offering the best. So to Josephine Gray, to your point, what you're asking and what you're saying in the collaboration that you are seeking, please reach out to us because it's a testament to what we're trying to do here and what our aim is to bridge the gaps so that we're ensuring optimal health and truly promoting food as medicine as always.
Yes, we have a couple new comments. Carrie Jr. wrote, our food systems have to be developed from farm co-ops to food co-ops. Robin Albany wrote, micronutrient deficiencies linked to foods not grown locally. Very true. Thanks for the love, Asia hearted it as well. Naima Kearney, similarly, I'm interested in native plants and reconnecting with indigenous and African American traditional uses and would like to offer those more widely, including medicinal plants, community herbalists and training, but also some of our delicious and relatively inexpensive native vegetables and fruits. That's amazing. Network for Developing Conscious wrote to everyone. We need our foods. We are Oasis Food Hub. Trade Route Project is Oasis Southwest St. Jamestown Co-op in downtown Toronto. This is a Black food systems they work with called Root Rising, and she put their information there. They can be reached.
Did you see that
That was
comment from Carrie Jr.? It says our food systems have to be developed from farm co-ops to food co-ops,
Food crops,
which is
absolutely.
very, 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 very important, because if the farms begin to work together simultaneously, that again lends to lowering the cost, lowering the amount of overhead, the amount of resources that we can pile together. If we're able to pile our resources together as a grocery store to lend it to a farm that helps all of these different farmers again across one area, it helps in so many different ways to ensure that everyone eats and is able to sustain themselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You guys are giving great comments. Definitely keep them
Yes.
going.
Food systems have to be developed for us throughout the diaspora in North America, Caribbean, Africa. These are some great comments. I really love how everyone's building off of each other's comments and networking.
Yes, and I think absolutely. I think Pamela brought a good point up. She wrote, in the USA, what some of us is eating is not food. Real food doesn't make people sick. Real food nourishes the body and mind. And then Josephine Gray wrote, absolutely check out via CAN Capsina. I'm not for sure what that is. Yes, check out via Campsina. And then Robin wrote, at Pamela, sadly, most foods in the grocery stores are genetically modified, hence increasing rise in food allergies. That's one of the things we really want to bring back in diaspora is fruits and vegetables with seeds. I know it's an inconvenience at times, but when you take away the seed, you also take away some of the necessary nutrition. And so we really want to make sure that the food we eat is doing what it's intended to do. And so you're right, there's a lot of genetically modified foods out there. I think it came with, people trying to scientifically um create more food. But if it's hurting us, and if you look at some of the long-term cancers and certain things that are just basically just from a lot of the stuff that we eat that are not food, like we talked about in other countries, what we deem in America, like you said, it's not even technically food. And so we really want to make sure or ensure what we're putting in our body is nutritious. Absolutely.
That's so true, Josephine. Very, very true. Newcomers that come into the States definitely get sick. And when we go to different countries, like I know that when I used to go out the country, they used to say, be careful when you eat the fruit when you go out to different countries, because the water or the different type of your body is not accustomed to it. But I used to say, I'm like, why is it that there's so many prejudices when you go to different countries, as if that food is not purer than our food? Our bodies are accustomed to processed food, that when we get natural food, we can't even handle it because we're accustomed to having processed food. And so again, it just lends back to these co-ops being able to change the trajectory of our communities, being able to give transparency, being able to give voices to the voiceless, being able to give opportunities to people that do not have opportunities. Imagine a grocery store where your children that are in high school, they work there. Your grandparents go there, people there playing bingo. You just have a community store where you just happen to run into people and it's happy-go-lucky and you're getting food that is good for you. It's like there's so many different benefits that it truly does outweigh the cons.
Absolutely. We have a few more comments. Asia wrote, yes, she finds herself just not eating because the food doesn't taste nor feels good. I guess after she eats, that's a lot of people have experienced bloating, inflammation, and Josephine Gray wrote, studies show newcomers from the diaspora get sick when they're forced by poverty to buy fake food. Asia wrote, fasting to remove the toxins. A utopia, that's the aim. There's definitely different ways to heal the body, and fasting is one of them. So there's multiple ways. Basically, you really have to see what you eat and how it makes you feel. When you eat something that's nourishing for your body and that's nutritious for your body, how do you sleep at night? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? How is your energy levels. Really looking at what we're consuming, and just seeing how it makes us feel. Drinking alkaline water versus tap water, or even some places you can't even drink tap water because it may not be safe. Um, Robin Albany wrote, important to remember our bodies are temples. Be mindful of our intake. Absolutely, Robin. Absolutely. Pamela James wrote, I changed my diet and began to eat real food. I cannot eat and swallow fast foods anymore. Yeah, sometimes your body will reject what's not good for you. And so, but that's getting back to that grade A, that one level. So once you start eating better, even certain people who stop eating meat or stop eating a certain type of food, once you eat that food may make you feel sick. So, your body is definitely speaking to itself. Like you said, listen to your body. Anaya, did you have some things to?
Um, if we have enough time, 'cause I know we have 15 minutes. Amal, was there anything that you wanted us to specifically cover in the last 15 minutes, or would you be okay with us still just taking questions?
I think right now we can have questions till around like 7:50 to start closing. But I just want to remind everybody about the upcoming webinar next Monday as well. Like Rashia said, it's more about the nuts and bolts of a food cooperative, like how to sustain a food cooperative. This is more like an intro on cooperative. So we will delve into a lot of the your comments you have on next Monday as well. And then I think in the I think Manana you answered as well. There are people who want your contact info, so make sure to add NDCC email address. And you added.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So the conversation seems to be going really well. Thank you everybody for adding to the chat. And we'll continue until around 7:55.
Okay. There's another one. I also think it's very difficult to reliably produce very large amounts of agriculture products organically. It does take a lot of experience, knowledge, time, planning, expense, and luck. The insects, birds, weather, and animals will annihilate them. I lost 99% of my watermelons this year from rabbits and such, which is extremely, extremely true. And I'm so sorry, Naima, that you experienced that, because I can only imagine what a loss like that could do for a small business and for a farmer, which I think lends to that co-op, those farm co-ops, being able to kind of lean on other people during these times. If a water drought, maybe we can come together to get resources to get the sprinkler systems, which I know are very, very expensive, but trying to help in different ways when you work together to be able to, again, work as a cooperative to sustain ourselves, because to be able to reliably produce, to be able to fulfill a grocery store and a community becomes very demanding. And you don't want a community to be solely reliant on you to feed them. It becomes a stress burden, and you don't want it to be that, which I think, again, farm co-ops, I didn't even think of farm co-op, but again, to Rashida's point about co-ops being multiple different things, but a farm co-op definitely could help alleviate and be a solution to a problem like that. Because dag, I know those rabbits. Man.
Well, they say if the rabbits are eating them, it's good.
Good.
So
That's why
it
I
must
ain't
have been
want to
some really
say.
sweet
I know.
watermelons. Yeah.
I know those
Oh,
watermelons had seeds in it.
yes, definitely.
You
I
know
just
it.
think something about watermelons with seeds taste so much better than seedless watermelons. There are certain places in LA, the watermelon man who sells like the watermelons with seeds, they're kind of pricey, but they are phenomenal. And so it's definitely a difference. We have a couple of other comments. Robin wrote, important to remember, Pamela wrote, I've changed my diet and began eating. Oh, oh no, we already talked about that about fast food. Sorry, some of them are keep coming back up on my screen. Um, Josephine Guerrero, I always feel so much better when in Africa and rural Jamaica. FY, the Maroons and have indigenous status, and they have a big diaspora of mixed Afro-Indigenous people, which is good because we need indigenous nations to secure sovereign trade. However, we need to form links with First Nations, Indian reserves to ensure the legal status to base our sovereign trade network on. Definitely looking through the legalities is important because we're not gonna it's not gonna be sustainable if it's not legal. So we have to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're doing it in a legal way. So do you have all the links like this? I'm not sure, Josephine. I believe Manaya tagged our email info@diasporagroceries.com and our website for the store at www.diasporagroceries.com, and our Instagram is at diasporagroceries, and our Diaspora Groceries nonprofit arm is diasporagroceries.org. And we put that in the chat earlier, just in case you needed that. Thank you, Manaya, for updating everyone with that. Oh, also,
Other questions in the chat. I think Manaya, you asked your contact information. Like that's Manaya or Rashida. You can provided contact information and then we also added NDCC contact information in the chat. I added a description of part 2. Part 2 will be children sustaining successful food cooperatives. And it will cover in the food cooperative, the feasibility studies, the lead regulatory consideration. We're looking at enhancing the funding, grants, building a marketing strategy, challenges and solutions that may come from your trends and opportunities, starting cooperative. So I added the as well. So please make sure to register the today's conversation, which is a continuation of today's conversation. Please make sure to because we will be closing well before. And thank you everybody for joining us. I want to thank Maya and Rashida, for conversation, wonderful audience. Thank you so much for engagement. And with that, I really want to thank everybody for joining. Thank you so much for putting your time. And you have a final.
yeah. Go ahead, Manaya. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. It was such a pleasure. So I really want to thank NDCC. I want to thank Rashia for allowing me to join on. This was such a great conversation. And above all else, I really, really just want to thank you all for stepping out of your comfort zones and collaborating, talking to each other, bridging those gaps, having those conversations, not gatekeeping information, which is so, so harmful to our community. When we keep information to ourselves, that's really meant for everyone. Like, if we work together, it's a win for all of us. My sister's win is not a loss to me, it's a win for me. So when one wins, we all win. And so I really, really encourage that. I thank you guys so much. I really hope to see you guys November 9th because it's going to be a time. So much information, so much good resources to share. I really hope to see you guys, and I really hope to see you next week as well. Thank you again.
Yes, I want to really say thank you. Thank you for all of your comments. I am grateful. I have an attitude of gratitude every day, and just having these conversations definitely helps. And just knows that it just helped me know that we're on the right track. And definitely come out for next week's webinar. And like Manaya said, our November 9th event in Los Angeles, we're also trying to make it an online version as well if you're unable to come to LA. Thank you for sharing all of these other great events. Definitely check the chat. We have some stuff in Houston the first week, November 1st to the 3rd for the farmers. And we have some stuff in LA coming up. So definitely share. It does not end here. Definitely thank you to Network for Developing Conscious Communities because you guys set this up and made it happen. And, we're just here to spread the word and to definitely like I said before, I'm a food freedom fighter, and the fight is not over, and we are starting it one bite, one plate at a time, and just knowledge is power, and, connection is key, and cooperation or collaboration is where it happens, whether you choose to have a co-op formally grocery store or a co-op business, or whether you choose to take some of the essential components that makes cooperatives wonderful into your business model. There's lots of ways to do things, and we're definitely inclusive and just really want to help and just share the word. So thank you guys. And if I was there, I would give you all, high fives, but just spreading the energy. And we're very appreciative to be a part of you guys' network and just learn from each other. Thank you so much for all your comments.
Thank you again.
Finally, adding the recording to the webinar to our YouTube channel, which I've added the link to the chat as well. But we will share the recording. But once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.